Hello there, it's the start of another week. Good afternoon and welcome to The Pulse. We are coming to you live from our studios here in Accra on your digital terrestrial TV because we are free to air this afternoon. You can catch us live on DSTV channel 421 and Go TV channel 144. Thanks for choosing us. Independent, fearless and credible journalism. That's what we stand for. We are JoyNews. Coming up this afternoon on The Pulse, Ghana Immigration Service beefs up security at border towns as President Akufo-Addo orders the reopening of land and sea borders nearly 2 years after its closure.
Who wants to enter Ghana or exit Ghana have to go through the main Aflawo border. So if you go and pass there and you are seen, you'll be arrested.
Have more on this. Meanwhile, the Ghana Medical Association is raising red flags about government's decision to ease existing COVID-19 protocols, including the mandatory wearing of face masks.
This COVID has given us a lot of positive lessons that if we do not make benefit of as a nation, we'll have ourselves to blame. It is for the first time that we didn't report any cases of cholera because of our hand washing.
And this afternoon as well, former President John Dramani Mahama calls for reforms in Ghana's judiciary as he pleads with the Chief Justice to roll out some measures that will strengthen the institution.
We do have problems with the judiciary, I must say, and I think that it's necessary for some reforms to take place there. Internal reforms, it's necessary for the Chief Justice or whoever is in charge to make some reforms.
Stay with us a little later. I'll take you to the central region as police is on a manhunt for a spiritualist who aided a 70-year-old man to bury his 2-year-old grandson alive in Cape Coast. We have details for you.
The child is a boy of special needs, and I can't what they have been saying or in something like that. So they needed to get rid of the child. That was given to them by one spiritualist called the Kwekuba. He's on the run.
We're sure to get you the latest from the area here on The Pulse. Stay with us. I am Blessed Sugan. The Pulse is brought to you by Global's Communities Dignilu Affordable Safe Sanitation. Remember that this afternoon we're streaming live on YouTube and all of our social media handles as JoyNews on TV. Tweet at us with the hashtag The Pulse. My personal handle at Blessed Sugan. Thanks for choosing us. Well, this afternoon, the Ghana Immigration Service is enhancing security measures in parts of the Volta region to check the use of unapproved routes as President Akufo-Addo orders for the reopening of Ghana's land borders, and it's taking effect today. Now, we know that as part of the COVID-19 protocols, a raft of measures will now be observed at Ghana's frontiers, including a PCR test for non-vaccinated persons. Now, JoyNews is Ivy Setoji, was at the Aflawo border and now joins us on phone. Ivy, thanks for joining us. So what did you find out at the Aflawo border and what have residents been telling you in the area?
Well, residents of Ketu South, especially those at the border, are excited about the opening of the land borders, especially. According to them, for the past 2 years, the borders have been closed. It has been very, very tough for them. Most of them were unable to speak because they depend solely on the border businesses, that is buying and selling from Togo, Lome, and Aflawo. So everything went down. But now that they have opened the borders, they will be able to go back to their normal business. The transport owners are also happy about it because, according to them, the security services will not stop them or officials will not stop them on their ways and then maybe demand ID cards and other things that is required. They will be able to travel freely, take their passengers freely to wherever they want to go. So it's full of excitement in Aflawo, especially that Aflawo in the Ketu South for the residents there because the borders are open. Right now, the activities are not much because people are still coming, but according to them, from tomorrow, everything will spring up very well. These people are also complaining about the vaccination. They are saying that some of them do not have the vaccination card, so the issue with no vaccination, no entry is also a problem to them. So they should be able to do something about it. That's the government should be able to adjust the issue, because it's not everyone or every resident that has the vaccination card. So that means those who are not able to have the vaccination card and are not ready to go for vaccination because of fear will not be able to cross. So these are some of the issues. But in everything, they are very glad, they are happy about the reopening of the border.
Ivy, so what about the residents themselves? How are they planning to restart their commercial activities?
Hello, Leza?
Yes, I'm asking about the residents. We know that there's a lot of trading that goes on at the border community. What have they been telling you in terms of how they intend to restart their activities?
Yes, they are planning to revamp their businesses. Those who stopped because of the closure are planning to get money to revamp their businesses as well, especially those who are close to the main Aflau border. Those with at the station close to the Aflau border who sell some items, some Muslims as well, said they will have to look for money to put into the business, so they will be able to get profit as they used to. So yes, most of the businessmen and women, the traders especially, are planning to get loans to get enough money to invest into their businesses so they can get enough. Because now that the borders are open, it's a great news to them to be able to do businesses without any problem.
Ivy Setoji, I'm grateful that you've been able to give us some updates now. Meanwhile, anyone found using unapproved routes will be arrested. That's according to the local authorities, who are actually fashioning out measures to avert another wave of infections and to ensure that there is safe reopening of our land borders.
We are to be screened by any traveler or any foreigner who wants to enter Ghana or exit Ghana have to go through the main Aflau border. So if you go and pass there and you are seen, or they see that you'll be able to cross in, you'll be arrested and brought back to the office for you to be sent back. So that is what I want the community to understand, and other travelers who might, some of them out of ignorance, they are deceived, and then they use them to motorbikes to cross them. They should come through the main border.
Well, so joining us on phone now is ACI Frederick Dodo, who is the Immigration Sector Commander there within the Aflau area. Thank you, sir, for your time. Also, the MCE for Ketu South will be joining us shortly. But, Commander, let me start off with you. So, your challenge has got to do with the unapproved routes. How do you intend to crack down on these activities?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me, and then good afternoon. Yes, the officers have been deployed there. It is an exercise that we were doing already before even the closure of the border. Again, during the closure, other security officers were brought to Aflau to augment the strength of Ghana Immigration Service, i.e., we have the military, customs. So there's a combined team of security officers manning all the unapproved routes.
So what you mean to tell us is that you're stationing your officers along these routes?
Yes, the officers have been stationed along these routes. But the few challenges that we have is that with the unapproved routes, the moment you seal one, another one is open the following day. So the unapproved route keeps on increasing by the day. Yeah. So we are patrolling there just for so that illegal migrants don't use those places.
So now that the borders will be reopened, at least we know that's taking effect from now. How do you intend to deal with the situation? Because the president has talked about a number of protocols that needs to be observed at the land borders. How effective are your measures going to be in ensuring that, particularly when now you are revealing to us that you're having challenges with the unapproved routes?
Yes, we will still be doing the inner checkpoints, so that all those persons who gain access illegally into the country are apprehended and then brought to the main border. Again, we have opened Bit 9 also. Bit 9 is the approved pedestal crossing for the border residents. It's open. So over there too, we have all the agencies there: Immigration, Customs, Port Health, Bank Quarantine, APOP, all there to screen them, so that anybody who is a traveler and transfer traveler should be directed to go through the main border. Yes.
So do we know about the Togo side of the border and what the Togolese officials are doing? Is there any correspondence between your offices?
No. The Togo border too was closed by His Excellency, the President of Togo. So it's just like the way Ghana side was also closed by His Excellency, the President of Ghana. Yeah, so whatever directives that to link to the opening of the border should come from the President of Togo. So it is our hope that since the Ghana border is closed, maybe in the nearest future, the Togo side will also open. Because if it is not open, then the travel flow will not be there. Yes, because when you are going to Togo now, you need to be able to satisfy all the restrictions, requirements for you to, the protocols that have been put in place for you to enter Togo. Being the COVID test, being authorization letter, like they pass from the embassy and so forth. Yes. So that's made those who want to travel through Togo to Togo and even beyond impossible for them to do.
I'm grateful for your time. Let's now talk to the MCE for Ketu South, Maxwell Lugudo, who's also on phone with us. Thank you, sir, for your time. So here we are. You're in charge of the District Security Council. Obviously, you'll be working to enforce what it is that we heard from the President yesterday. How are you going about such activities?
Hello?
Yes, Honorable, I'm asking about your measures in furtherance of the directives from the President. How are you enforcing that in your area?
Yes, actually, I would like to take this opportunity to say good afternoon to your cherished viewers. My security agencies are putting everything in place to make sure the directives given by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, for everything to move on smoothly. But I was at the border this morning, even though the border is open, but the Togo side is not open. But it seems they are allowing the indigenous, the people around the border, the locals to go in and out.
So what that means is that for now, you may not have to worry yourself because there will be no inflow from the other side. Is that correct?
It's correct.
So what's informing basically now the decision to open when we know that our counterparts from the other side are not doing same?
As for that one, I don't know, but the information gathered now is it's possible that Togolese counterpart might also be opening the border very soon. How soon, I don't know, but I learned His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Togo, might also be addressing the nation today or tomorrow. for the border to be open.
Okay, so the expectation you have is that any moment from now, the Togolese officials may also do the same.
Exactly.
So that then brings to the fore the issues about the measures. We know that this is the land borders that we're talking about. It's not as though it's like the airport where check measures can be easily instituted. How are you going to collaborate with the agencies within your community?
Hello, can you please repeat the question again?
Yes, so I'm talking about the fact that unlike the airport, we know that this is the land borders. It's not enforcing the measures will be much more tougher for you as local authorities in the area as compared to that of the airport. So I'm asking what measures you're putting in place, how you are collaborating with all the agencies responsible to achieve that effect. Hello, sir, can you hear me?
I can't hear anything to myself.
Oh, it appears that we're having challenges reaching out to the MC for the area. But let's try one more time. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I'm asking about the land borders. We know that this is the land borders that we're talking about. It's not like the airport where you can easily enforce the protocol. So I'm asking what measures you're putting in place, collaborating with the agencies in your district or municipality to enforce that.
Yes, that's actually I was saying that the security agencies and the health securities are putting things measures in place so that when you are coming, and then when you are coming or you are going to ask for your vaccination card to see whether you are vaccinated. But if you're not vaccinated, they will have the vaccine there for you to, in case you want to be vaccinated, they can be vaccinated. That's right.
Okay, so that's how you're going to be checking it. You need the vaccination card. But
exactly.
here's the case that we're receiving reports that some persons who did their vaccination earlier are having challenges with the verification process when it comes to their vaccination cards. How do you intend to deal with that?
Actually, that is a challenge, but I will discuss with the health authorities and see how we can help solve this issue.
And for residents within your area, are you educating them on these new requirements? Because these are people who move to and fro. I mean, it's a daily norm, if I could put it that way, for them. They move across the borders easily. So giving the announcement by the president, are you scaling up education and engagements with residents in the area?
Yes, exactly. Anytime I have the opportunity, I'm always on radio to let them know. You know, there's a lot of perception here that when you take the vaccination, your shoulder, when you put your mobile phone or anything in the metal, it will get stuck. And it's so interesting. So anytime I had opportunity, I always educate them. It's never happened. I had my vaccination, nothing like that happened. So it's now encouraging. A lot of people are now encouraging to get the vaccination. It's not like before that nobody wants to go there.
I'm grateful, Honorable Maxwell, for joining us. Let's now speak to Louisa Aris, who's the Municipal Chief Executive for the Jomoro area as well, joining us on this. You know that we're talking about the western side as well, our borders there. Let's check out what measures are in place there. Thank you so much, Honorable, for joining us. So what measures are you rolling out in your municipality to ensure that there's safe reopening at that side of the border that we are talking about now?
Thank you so much for being part of the program. Let me make this correction. The name is Louisa Iris Ade. It's not Fute, if you could correct the name. I've been to the borders even before the announcement was made yesterday by the president. We've made all the necessary arrangements. Meetings have been held in preparation because of the information that was put out there by the Minister of Information. So we got ourselves prepared even before yesterday. There's been a series of meetings and there's been a lot that has been done underground. I was at the borders. You know, Jomoro is a hub of borders. I've been to most of the borders today, and you could see that the officers are really prepared. I was there with the Director of Health and other team members, and we went round that everybody is prepared for the reopening of the border. You could see that today it hasn't been a bit busy. It hasn't been busy because this is the safety. But we're praying that with time, the numbers will increase, and every preparation has been done to ensure that as the people go in and come out, we'll be able to accommodate them.
And we know that business in your area has been affected. What measures are you putting in place to help those within the community, petty traders and all of that, to restart. It's been a challenging time for them, about 2 years now.
Yes, it's been a challenge. I would say that the COVID-19 and the closure of the border has brought its rippling effect on the people, but Jomo has had a double fold of it because we live by the border and we do trans-border trading and all that. It has really affected our traders. And just last week we had a program. It was about ways of revamping business of these petty traders. These are some of the programs that we've put in place to ensure that we help them bounce back. There are other ways that we are looking at, finding ways and means of getting something to support them, little amount of money to support them to, bounce back. These are some of the things that we're trying to do for our people.
We're sure that our counterparts in Ivory Coast as well, how are they? What measures are they putting in place to complement what we're doing now? Is there any collaboration between these places?
Yes, there is a big collaboration between Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire. Just yesterday after the announcement, some of our officers made calls to them. Although the borders over there have not been opened, but they know we depend on each other when it comes to trading. So they told us that sure, they know that it wouldn't be long. An announcement will be made pertaining to the reopening of the borders in Cote d'Ivoire. There has been collaboration between us. When you get to Newtown, when you get to WAF, when you get to Lubo, the collaboration has been there. We can't do it on our own. We always collaborate with them.
I'm grateful that you've been able to join us, Louisa Ade, MC for Jomoro. Thank you for your time. Now, the Ghana Medical Association is also raising red flags about government's decision to ease existing COVID-19 protocols, including the mandatory wearing of face masks. Dr. Titus Bayo is Vice President, is actually the General Secretary for the Medical Association.
I think they are welcome reliefs, I'll put it that way, of the restrictions. We are happy with them. The Medical Association, we just completed our council meeting over the weekend, and it was a decision of the council that we thought that at this point, some of these restrictions needed to be lifted. If you look at the nature of the cases that are coming in, if we study the trend of the disease in the country now, there is a need for us to return some life to normalcy. In particular, we are happy that fully vaccinated persons do not need to be subjected to this testing at the airports, and I think that bit is very welcome. This COVID has given us a lot of positive lessons that if we do not make benefit of as a nation, we'll have ourselves to blame. It is for the first time that we didn't report any cases of cholera because of our hand-washing hygienes. Are we going to maintain this? We saw local industries build capacity to be able to produce and supply and meet almost all our needs in terms of PPEs. Are we sustaining that? We improved our ICU capacity from something that was very abysmal to a point that ICU beds became quite available. Are we sustaining this for other medical conditions that require ICU services? And our research institutions, and I'm very saddened, and I have to mention this here, when you look at some of the restrictions that some countries brought up, in particular United Arab Emirates, when they brought their travel requirements, the accredited labs in this country that they would accept results from, none of them was a public lab. And that's very disappointing. What happened to the KCCR, Noguchi, our public health reference labs that stood in for us? They made the initial diagnosis. How do we turn our back on these institutions and say that they are no longer fit to produce credible results that our international partners will accept? So I think we should not turn our back on those institutions that has helped us in the height of this crisis.
Well, we can now stay a bit more on issues relating to the border reopening, because in a related development, experts are actually concerned the reopening of the land borders could have security implications for the ongoing turmoil in border towns of Boku, for instance. The community actually serves as Ghana's frontier to two neighboring countries, Togo and the Republic of Burkina Faso. There are fears now that the situation could actually compound the clashes that are happening and ongoing in that community. So how do we avert that, and what measures should the national security be taking on this matter? Joining us now is Mutaro Mumuni Mukhtar, Executive Director for the West Africa Center for Counter-Extremism. Thank you, sir, for your time. So here we are. Yes, it's great news that the borders are being reopened, except that there are concerns about security in some flashpoints, including Boku, where we had recent clashes in the area. What's your take on that?
Well, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this. First of all, it is commendable that the president, made a decision to open the borders. If you look at the economic situation, the state in which we are now, it requires that you take actions around how you can, act to revamp the economy. So it's important that that happens to be able to restore livelihoods. But if you look at the threat of violent extremism descending from the Sahel towards the coastal states, and if you look at what we call the spillover effect of violent extremism within the region, it tells you that this is a very dangerous time to open the borders, especially if you do not have some level of escalation of security commitment to happen in terms of preventing some spillover, from Burkina Faso. What is happening in Burkina Faso is largely a product of a spillover effect from Mali. And Mali, to some extent, is largely a product of what happened in Libya. Today, as we speak, the threat of violent extremism is pervasive in terms of its descent towards coastal states. We're seeing, increasing level of attacks in the northern border of Côte d'Ivoire. We're seeing attacks in the northern border of Benin. We're seeing attacks in the northern border of Togo. Ghana is the only country within this space that has yet experienced attacks, and we have every reason to believe that we are not in any way immune to attacks from any quarter or from Burkina Faso. And if you consider the proximity of Boku and the very prolonged nature and complexity of Boku, it tells you that this is a very, very vulnerable situation we are in. And so we need to be very careful how we build some resilience against that in terms of preventing a spillover phenomenon from happening.
But then you also agree that there are concerns about economic activities. The borders have been closed for far too long, 2 years, and that could possibly be the reason why we are witnessing some clashes in the community, isn't it?
Yes, admittedly, I think that it would be very dangerous or very, very dangerous for the economy to not open the borders at this time, if you look at the current situation of our economy. But it's even more dangerous to open the borders, given what Boko is in now, and given the things that are happening within the sub-region. If you do not have a standby, very deliberate security programs to prevent a spillover from happening. All the countries that I've mentioned, the 5 countries in all, are currently experiencing terrorism from a phenomenon we call a spillover effect. And we have no reason to believe or to think that we are in any way unique in terms of our immunity to that spillover effect. And so there's a need to escalate, put together a kind of very robust and comprehensive security programs along the borders. We need to increase interagency collaboration, information sharing, and intelligence sharing. But more importantly, how do we engage local community members to help being part of the counterterrorism community, help in terms of giving leads and tips, and help law enforcement to intervene immediately in areas where they need to intervene to prevent, incidents from happening, or prevent, infiltration in terms of seeking to recruit local elements within the space.
So what's the option now for the national security to consider?
The option now is to beef up security, looking at it from both internal and external sources. Externally, we would have to increase our collaboration with our partners, with the Togolese, with the Ivory Coast authorities, with Burkina Faso authorities, to increase interagency collaboration and information sharing. We also need to look within and ensure local community actors are brought in, more involved role in terms of how they can help prevent any local incidents from happening. That is a comprehensive approach to dealing with it.
So correct me if I'm wrong, the concern for some is that once we don't have economic activities happening across the country, it could contain the clashes and the tensions, I mean, of the youthful population. So opening up would allow persons who are aggrieved, some who are even seeking for better opportunities in terms of economic opportunities, could go into our neighboring countries and in search of some. So if that's what we need to consider, why not give the opportunity by, first of all, opening up our borders?
If I get you right, you're saying that opening up the borders increases the risk of some infiltration or people coming in to cause trouble?
At least it will open up the opportunity for the youth to tap into in terms of economic opportunities.
And so the same, I mean, it goes both ways. You know, young people across the border are looking for opportunities. Same way here, especially along the border communities. And so it would have similar effect, people looking for economic opportunities across the borders or in here. Of course, it increases the risk of that. But at the same time, you know, we've always had that risk, even before the borders were opened. Once the borders were closed, we've had illegal crossings, you know, to and fro. So that has always existed. What is happening now is an increased risk of infiltration of potential troublemakers or extremists reaching out into this space and looking at vulnerable communities like Boko as it is and similar other areas within our space and seeking to radicalize or recruit vulnerable individuals. And so that is why we need to increase our security measures and security approach to dealing with it.
Mukhtar Mumuni Mukhtar, I'm grateful that you've been able to join. We are also learning that the Central Regional Police is on a manhunt for a spiritualist who aided a 70-year-old man to bury his 2-year-old grandson alive in Cape Coast. Now, the boy who was autistic was buried. And as we do know, that happened on Friday because he was considered a spirit child. But for the timely intervention of the police, he would have been dead. Elmina Police Commander Superintendent Abraham Bansa, speaking to JoyNews, disclosed that the 70-year-old man, who has since been arrested, says he acted under the directive of a spiritualist known as Kwekuban, and now we know that correspondent Richard Kojo Nyako has been following that and now joins us via Zoom. So Richard, first off, how's the child faring?
Well, so the child as well, I understand that the Regional Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit Coordinator and then the Social Welfare have paid a visit to the Dutch Commander area where the incident happened. And so now we are told by the police that the case or the child is in their hands. So there is someone actually who is taking care of the child. But the child is fit now, is okay, and there is no cause for alarm. So that is about the welfare of the child.
And we hear that the parents of the child have been arrested as well. What more are we learning on that?
Also, they have also been arrested and they will be put before court tomorrow. I spoke with the Elmina District Police Commander and he indicated that that same day they got them arrested, but luck eluded them, and so they could not arrest the spiritualist who is currently on a run. And so they've asked the communities nearby to assist them to apprehend that particular spiritualist. And so as we speak now, the parents are in police custody at Elmina.
So do we know the identity of the spiritualist and persons who are actually involved in this?
Well, so the police say that the mother of this child is 29 years, the father is 37 years, and the grandfather is 70 years of age. But for the spiritualist, he works at Abrobiano around the Dutch Commander area. And so they consulted that these are the traits that are being exhibited by the child. And so upon the advice of the spiritualist, he directed that they should go and bury the child because the child will cause them problems, will give them a lot of challenges. And that is why they heeded to the advice of the spiritualist and went to bury the child alive. But this is not the first time this incident has happened in that particular area. So it is not in Cape Coast, but in the Commander Edna Iguafuebrim municipality. About 5 years ago, something similar of this nature happened, where the child was also almost 2 years, was buried alive. And so, I mean, there was lack, and so they had to follow the beat, took the child from that place to the hospital. So the child had been at the Central Regional Hospital for quite a while. And so it is something that is not new, but it sent the entire community in shock. They couldn't believe that a child who is not dead would be buried alive because he is a child with some special needs.
Richard, thank you for the update. We'll certainly get back to you for some updates. Now, we can now do some politics now, issues relating to governance. It is necessary for some internal reforms to take place within Ghana's judiciary. That's according to former President John Dramani Mahama, who is expressing displeasure over what he describes as politicization of state institutions. It is actually unclear what measures the NDC stalwart is seeking from the Chief Justice. But speaking in the United States over the weekend, John Mahama says Ghanaian judges must rise to the occasion.
We do have problems with the judiciary, I must say, and I think that it's necessary for some reforms to take place there. Internal reforms. It's necessary for the Chief Justice or whoever is in charge to make some reforms. Like the chairman said, since then we've been busy. We mentioned what we've done. We organized retreats immediately. The first one was in Ho. It was a national retreat. And so all the regions, the 16 regions gave their reports. And it was very interesting to listen to some of the reports. It made us realize that we needed to tighten a few things, because in some of the regions, the seats we lost, it was not, we shouldn't have lost them. Yeah, and so either because two people did not agree or somebody wanted to show that, look, if without me, you can't win this seat and all that. And so while you are busy campaigning, somebody is undermining you. And so there are some seats that we have normally won that, we lost. We comfortably should have gone above 150 seats, but even then, as the chairman said, there are some of the seats, that we won, but our arms were twisted. For instance, Techiman, if you look at the pink sheets and you calculate, the NDC candidate won, and yet the presiding officer was forced to declare for the MPP candidate. The case is in court, and we're hoping that justice will be done, and that seat will return to NDC.
Well, so that's former President John Dramani Mahama there. This is The Pulse. We'll be right back after this break. And you're welcome back to The Pulse. Now, there's a push for North Tong, that's actually coming from the North Tong MP, Samuel Kujeto Blackwa, who is asking that we get leadership of Parliament to take a firm decision on proposals for MPs to slash their salaries in the wake of the economic challenges faced by citizenry in view of the NDC MP, government's appointees and the members of the Council of State have publicly announced their decision to forfeit part of their salaries, a move Mr. Blackwa believes must be emulated by the legislators. His comment comes on the back of a raft of measures announced by the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta to help ease the burden on the populace. Speaking on the floor of the House, ranking member on the Foreign Affairs Committee asked the House to thoroughly look at the issue and make a public decision of Parliament. We can now listen to him.
I was wondering if we cannot take the advantage to discuss some matters that have come up that puts Parliament on the spotlight. Yesterday, I heard the Honorable Minister for Finance say that they have taken a pay cut. The Council of State has also taken a pay cut, and they are looking up to the legislature. We can only discuss a matter like that at the Committee of the Whole amongst ourselves, so we can see if we can forge a common position as a House. So I'm wondering if we cannot take advantage of the committee of the whole slated for Thursday, 17 March, to thoroughly discuss that matter. Because as it is now, it's like there are just individual opinions and views. We don't seem to have a position as an institution, what our views are, how we want to respond to that matter collectively, if there can be a common position as an institution.
Initial findings by Parliament's Committee on Defence and Interior has actually revealed that the use of excessive force by the military at Boko led to the loss of 2 persons. This was established after the Ministers for National Security, Defence and Interior met the committee to brief them on the recent disturbances in the area. Ranking member on the committee, James Agalga, explained that although the military was attacked first by the angry youth, the use of minimum force would have saved lives.
But according to the Minister for the Interior, who did the presentation on behalf of his colleague, Minister for Defense, was that the soldiers had actually, and the police had stormed an area, a suburb of Boko known as Boabula. You know, they basically were in search of weapons, so they cordoned off the area and were about to start searching for weapons when some youth opened fire on them. I see. And in the process, some soldiers were wounded. Now, unfortunately, the soldiers also reacted, the police reacted, and the result was very unfortunate. Lives were lost, houses were burnt, motorcycles were also burnt in the process. The committee, after listening to the MPs from the area and the ministers responsible for defense and interior, came to the conclusion that there was need for the committee to visit Boko. Okay. And so come Tuesday, we are going to meet again and determine when it will be possible to visit Boko. I see. And when we return, we shall produce a report. I can tell you straight away, Parker, that, look, some of those who fell victim to the use of some disproportionate force. Yes, it is true. The soldiers are human beings, the police are human beings, and so when they come under attack, quite naturally, they would respond. But it appears there was some use of disproportionate force. But that is beyond the normal force. That for me is unfortunate. In as much as would condemn the youth who attacked the soldiers, it was also condemnable for disproportionate force to be used. So the issues are quite murky.
But did the minister indicate to you that this disproportionate force you talk about, the military, the police?
Well, in their view, the soldiers and the police acted within their standard operating procedures. But as a committee, we want to visit the scene to be able to apprise ourselves and not just limit ourselves to what the ministers told us. At the end of the day, the unfortunate scenes we saw is something we have to live with.
Now, we know that government is actually scaling up measures to expand the COVID-19 immunization program of the Ghana Health Service to cover 20 million citizens by June this year. An earlier target set by President Akufo-Addo was revised to actually cover more persons. So far, only 16% of Ghana's population have been fully vaccinated, raising concerns over the capacity of the health service to expand the program. However, in his 28th address to the nation on the pandemic, President Akufo-Addo reiterated their commitment to meeting the targets.
To my fellow Ghanaians who have not received the jab, I urge you to take it. To those listening to the propaganda by the conspiracy theorists, and those who are still skeptical about the efficacy of the vaccine, it has been a year since my wife and I got vaccinated. It has not disrupted our physical well-being. Neither has it caused us to be sick. We are, touch wood, hale and hearty, like the other 13.1 million Ghanaians who have been vaccinated. With countries in the ECOWAS community, especially in our neighboring countries, presently like us, recording very low levels of infections, and having significant numbers of our people vaccinated, and on the advice of the National COVID-19 Task Force and the health experts, I've taken the decision to revise the COVID-19 restrictions enacted under EI 64. At this point, I want to express the great gratitude of the nation to the leadership and membership of the Ghana Health Service, to all other health workers, and to members of the National COVID-19 Task Force for the outstanding work they have done in bringing us this far. Ours has been an all-inclusive national effort, including the security services, public and private sector agencies, religious and chieftaincy institutions, charitable organizations, all of whom have helped in bringing us this far. I hope I'll be forgiven if I single out the Church of Pentecost, the Catholic Church, and the COVID-19 Private Sector Fund for special praise. They all demonstrated exceptional love of country. So, from tomorrow, Monday, 28th March, the wearing of face masks is no longer mandatory. I encourage all of you, though, to continue to maintain enhanced hand hygiene practices and avoid overcrowded gatherings. All in-person activities, such as those that take place in churches, mosques, conferences, workshops, private parties and events, cinemas and theaters, may resume at full capacity as long as the audience and all participants are fully vaccinated. Hand washing and hand sanitizing points should be made available at these venues. Outdoor functions at sporting events, entertainment spots, political rallies and funerals may resume at full capacity, again, as long as all persons at those events are fully vaccinated. Government will continue to engage all religious and traditional leaders, agencies and institutions to encourage their congregants, subjects and citizens respectfully to be vaccinated to help achieve the 20 million target by June 2022. I'll also urge the media to support this campaign in full. Fellow Ghanaians, we had to impose measures to limit the importation of the virus into our country, especially as our first cases of the virus were imported through the Kotoka International Airport, KIA. Currently, the Kotoka International Airport only allows fully vaccinated passengers who are in possession of a 72-hour negative PCR test result prior to embarkation and have a negative antigen test on arrival, entry into the country. Ghanaian citizens and foreign residents in Ghana who are unvaccinated or not fully vaccinated currently are given waivers by the Ghana Health Service to allow them entry into the country through the Kotoka International Airport. They must also have a 72-hour negative PCR test result prior to embarkation, take an antigen test on arrival, and are offered vaccination. From tomorrow, Monday, 28th March, fully vaccinated travelers into Ghana will not take PCR tests from the country of embarkation to allow them entry into the country through the KIA and will not be tested on arrival. Citizens and foreign residents in Ghana who are not fully vaccinated would, however, need to provide a negative PCR test result of not more than 48 hours. They will undergo an antigen test upon arrival at KIA and will be offered vaccination there. Ghana's foreign missions have been instructed to make vaccination a requirement for visa acquisition. It is worth noting that the establishment of the COVID-19 testing infrastructure at the Kotoka International Airport by Frontier Healthcare Services Limited at its own cost has been key to our ability to limit successfully the importation of the virus into Ghana through the airport. The efficacy of the testing regime at KIA has won global admiration and has been applauded by all those who have undergone its testing. It has been one of the reasons why Ghana was not at the receiving end of several of the travel bans imposed by the West at the height of the pandemic, for which many African countries were affected. As from tomorrow, Monday, the 28th March, all land and sea borders will be opened. Fully vaccinated travelers will be allowed entry through the land and sea borders without a negative PCR test result from the country of origin. Citizens and foreign residents in Ghana who are not fully vaccinated will have to produce a negative 48-hour PCR test result and will be offered vaccination on arrival. Fellow Ghanaians, it has been a difficult 2 years for all of us, and we're seeing light at the end of a very long tunnel. I appeal to all of you to live responsibly, protect yourselves at all times, and do everything we can to stay safe.
Well, the head of the health desk here at JoyNews, Fred Smith, joins me in studio now with a breakdown of the country's vaccination drive. But first of all, Fred, welcome to the program. We need to talk about the country situation in terms of our COVID cases. What do we know so far?
Well, as we speak, the latest update is for the 24th of March, and that's what the president was referring to during his address last night. And it showed that on that day, we had 17 new cases, 10 of those from travelers, international travelers into Ghana. So it only means that we had only 7 cases in the entire country. 2 of them in Greater Accra, which has previously been the epicenter of the pandemic in Ghana. However, there's a bit of a worry for Volta region because we had 5 cases in Volta region, especially in North Tongue, where 2 cases were recorded. We have Adaklu, Anyibe, which had 1, Whole West 1, and South Tongue also recording a case there. That brings it to 5 plus Accra's 2, making it 7. That's the only community spread that we have in terms of our situation.
So I guess this is what's informing the reopening of the borders, for instance.
This and previous records that the Ghana Health Service has been able to put together. As we speak, we don't have any severe or critical case. All our ventilators are free. Nobody is in need of oxygen to be able to breathe. And that kind of situation we had at the peak of the pandemic, or at any point when there's a new wave. We've had 4 before, and so it showed that we've done quite well, and that it's safe according to what the experts are advising.
But let's now talk about going forward, because it appears the president is fixated on immunizing a population of about 20 million.
22.9 million, that's around 20.
So that's the target.
23 million, that's
and
the target.
we're supposed to do that by the end of
June, yes.
How have we done, I mean, how much have we done in the past till now? And what's the future looking like in terms of the approach being adopted?
You know, at the start of the vaccination, we had a 20 million target to reach. Fortunately for us, we're able to include pregnant women and persons aged 15 to 18 years, and all of these persons have added to the adjusted target. So
okay, so before, pregnant women and
15 to 18-year-olds were not part
allowed,
of those who were going to be vaccinated, and so we have that added to the number of persons to be vaccinated, 22.9 million persons. As we speak, 13 million, a little above 13 million, have been vaccinated as at the 21st of March, and those persons are made up of persons who are receiving a single dose or double jabs for the vaccine, and that comes down to 28.4% of the total population.
Okay.
However, we have 16% of the total population fully vaccinated, and we're also having some 158,000 with the booster jabs.
Okay, but then I'm also concerned about the nuances. We know that although we're talking about generally about vaccination, some have received at least a dose, some do have 2 shots, and these are the differences within the system. So clarify that for us. What's the difference between taking a double shot, and what does it mean for the national count in terms of our vaccination drive?
Well, what it only means is that we are about some 10 million doses short.
Okay.
We'd have to increase our vaccination for those who've taken the first jab and require, it's only Johnson & Johnson, which will give you the opportunity to take 1 jab, and that will be it. Right. You'll be classified as a fully vaccinated person. Apart from that, we have AstraZeneca, Sputnik V, the Moderna, and Pfizer's BioNTech. All of these will require 2 jabs to be fully vaccinated.
Okay.
And if the opportunity is there, take a booster jab.
So the single dose is where we're hovering somewhere around 16%. Is that what's...
No. We have only 1.1 million taking Johnson & Johnson.
Right.
And so that's just a small figure there, 1.1 million for Johnson & Johnson. Apart from that, the remaining are all persons who've taken types of vaccines that will require that they take a second dose. Majority of persons have not gone for the second, and it would be great that they do.
Looking at the rate at which we're going, are we able to meet that June deadline?
Well, if you want to look at how we've come, then June is too short for that target that we have.
And you're making this projection based on what has happened
before. But we know the Ghana Health Service is also going to intensify its advocacy for persons to get to the stage. Yesterday, we had the president explain to people that the vaccines are safe. He took it, his wife did, and they are all doing very well, and that it will be safe for all. I have vaccinated, and I believe, Blessed, you have vaccinated as well. There are no issues with us, so the vaccines are safe, and that we need to go for them.
Well, Fred Smith, I'm grateful. We now know that obviously civil society organizations will converge in Accra for a national forum, as that will actually bring actors in the sector together to reflect and brainstorm on matters of mutual interest. And obviously at that forum there will be discussions on development which regard on border on matters of sector-wide implications. The program is being spearheaded by Star Ghana Foundation together with a steering committee comprising Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition. We have NOSAC. We also have the Ghana Integrity Initiative, the West African Civil Society Institute, and also the Ghana Philanthropy Network and CSO's platform on SDGs. And very soon we'll be having some officials of Star Ghana and also the Ghana Integrity Initiative join us to have a conversation on that. So thanks for your time. First of all, what's the National Forum about?
Right. Good evening and or good afternoon to your cherished viewers and listeners. The National Forum is about CSOs coming together. We have had experience where CSOs do come together in various fora, but it is always sector-specific gathering. So we are looking at bringing cross-sectorial CSOs coming together to reflect on the sector as the third, what we call the third sector, or CSOs or NGOs generally. And that is why we are converging tomorrow as a forum.
Know that this is going to be largely a CSO-driven activity, but then what will be the benefits to us as a nation, knowing that there's a group of experts who will be gathering here in Accra?
I think there is no doubt and there is no contestation that CSOs have contributed largely to preferring policy alternatives to this nation. We have delved so much and contributed in building the necessary evidence on which most policies in our country had been built. And then we've also offered the platform on which various policy discourse of divergent views are expressed. So there is no doubt about the contribution that CSOs had made to our national development. What we are doing tomorrow is that, look, let us now think of ourselves and look at what are our strengths, what are our weaknesses. There are environmental challenges that are bedeviling the sector. There are also the issue about sustainability that we need to think through. How do we solve some of the challenges that are threatening the sustainability of CSOs in Ghana? How are we as a body discussing the seemingly constricting policy space for CSOs? I think these are the issues that we believe that if instead of pigeonholing the discourse, we come together as a whole as a whole movement or entity, let me put it that way, and then discuss what matters that consensus. It is also important that we cannot say that CSOs have done everything right. So let's take stock, let's look at ourselves and review our actions and say, what did we get right and which areas can we improve?
So here's the point. I don't intend to be too much intrusive as to what will happen there tomorrow. But what can you say about the atmosphere for you as civil society operating and working here in Ghana?
Well, let me say that Ghana relatively had a very open and very open environment, and civil society movement had thrived in Ghana. But there is also no doubt about the challenge, some challenges that we face. The fact that at certain times, certain actors, they may not necessarily have any official position, but maybe sympathizers of the political class feel that CSOs don't have any constituency and have no business speaking about national matters. Those issues tend to constrict the policy space that we all enjoy as citizens. And we believe that, you know, as a civil organization or a civil movement, we need to think through and see how do we even communicate our intentions so that we can get the buy-in of everybody. How do we position ourselves so that the public sector or political actors do not see us as contending for position, but as joint contributors to national development?
We'll be on the lookout for that. But what are we expecting finally in terms of those who would be spearheading this program? Is this a joint program with all CSOs, or just a select few will be present there at the forum?
Interestingly, it is all CSOs in Ghana who are invited. So at the forum, because of space, we have those who are able to participate physically. And then we are looking at over 200 people who had registered to participate, 200 CSOs representatives that are registered to participate online. So it's a combo. It's both virtual and also physical meeting. So it cuts across. And let me say, the media, you're part of CSOs and you are invited.
We'll do all to be there, obviously. But will this be the end of it? Are you intending to make this an annual ritual, or perhaps you're considering some more activities in the course of the year?
The thinking is to make it an annual event where CSOs are able to both self-regulate and also take stock, and then also strengthen ourselves. So we are aiming at an annual forum, but this is the start. We don't want to let it look like a few or selected few are taking decisions for the collective or CSO. So what we are doing is that we're meeting tomorrow. We are discussing it, and we believe that the way forward will be articulated through your medium, through other spaces as to whether we are going to sustain this act. But the intention is to make sure that we meet every year to take stock, to strengthen our stance, and also make our collective position on policy issues forcefully articulated.
Michael, I'm grateful that you've been able to join us. This is The Pulse. We'll return after this short break. Stay with us. And welcome back to The Pulse. Now, as a means of helping curb the increasing number of pedestrian knockdowns in Tobodom Township, the Member of Parliament for Techiman North Constituency, Elizabeth Jare, has worked towards the installation of a traffic light within the area. The move, according to the legislator, when complete, would enhance the safety of the people as well as reduce the number of road accidents in that part of the country. Anna Sabit has more in this story.
Pedestrian knockdowns has over the years been a major road safety challenge for the people of Chobodom in the Techiman North district of the Bono East region. Residents here say this intersection along the Techiman Tamale Highway, which has been without traffic lights and a regular traffic cop, is largely to blame for these knockdowns. Afia Mage is one of these residents who spoke to JoyNews.
Yeah, I said, yeah. You will help us. So, how a pleasure, Clawin to I say. There, but you be accident to station has a say boys in if you had
you can't stay here if you have blood pressure because of the number of accidents recorded here. Yesterday, a gentleman was knocked down here by a motor king, so you can't actually live here if you have blood pressure. This same intersection serves as a transport terminal for the many farmers here who do visit their farms on a daily basis. These farmers here say crossing this road coupled with a terrible road network to their farms is their biggest challenge. We go through a lot in trying to cross this road. Sometimes we need to rely on the police who direct the traffic for farmers to cross. Each morning, we have to rely on a traffic cop to direct the farmers. As for motor accidents, even yesterday, someone was knocked down here, so we do record lots of accidents here daily. The road to our farm is in a terrible shape. We struggle a lot conveying our farm produce to the market, and this honestly affects us a lot. To help address this, the Member of Parliament for the area, Elizabeth Jare, made a pledge to install a modern traffic light here to help reduce the number of pedestrian knockdowns in the district capital.
It is a very dangerous intersection, very difficult to cross. And so I said I was going to do everything in my power to make sure that we have it. And so I'm very grateful and excited today at the same time. Very, very excited because one major promise I made to the people of Tobodom has been fulfilled. And also the safety and security of our children are going to be assured because there have been a lot of knockdowns here. And I think once we get a traffic light, all these accidents will be a thing of the past.
She bemoaned the terrible road network in the constituency and noted that the situation is adversely affecting economic activities in the area.
As for poor road network, it can be said to be synonymous to Techiman North. Our road network very poor. You can look at Suye Mesidam Boyem Road. It is not only poor but also very dangerous. And so I've asked the Minister for roads to put it in his budget and make sure that that road is fixed.
Assemblyman for Abroman electoral area Osei Anthony was full of gratitude to the legislator and appealed to government to help address the challenges of poor road network within the area.
In fact, you problem akwan ahoro bebre yakwan nyina enye papa enti ne yakane se yesre aban so omwa na yakwan no so a enye no oba betiesie e de aiden amay.
Reporting for JoyNews, Anas Sabit, Chobodom.
And now authorities at the Wa Senior High School say inadequate dormitory blocks are impeding conducive learning. Most of the dormitories of the school are very deplorable and could pass for death traps. The authorities are forced to move the students to other dormitories, resulting in congestion or overcrowding. The school's assembly hall, which was constructed for 200 students, is unable to accommodate over 1,000 students. At the school, headmaster of the school, Adam Idris, indicated that this when students donated some 30 LED bulbs to the school. JoyNews' Upper West correspondent Rafiq Salam has the rest of the story.
Wa Senior High School, one of the oldest senior high schools in the Upper West region, is at its wit's end and in dire need of support. The school was established some 52 years ago, first as training college and later metamorphosed into second cycle institution following the policy change of the government at the time. The last 16 years has seen tremendous improvement in the school's infrastructure, where new classrooms and dormitory projects were commissioned, thus resulting in increase in enrollment figures. However, dormitories that were constructed during the early years of the establishment of the school over the years has seen little or no renovation. The worst among the dormitories is the one now House 5. There are gaping holes dotted all over the walls and serves as the abode for dangerous reptiles, scorpions and insects. Worn out tiny rubber streets are used as covering for the windows because there are no louver carriers, let alone talking about the blades. Another area of concern for the students and the authorities is the school's assembly hall. The student population over the years since its construction has more than quadrupled, according to the headmaster, Adam Idris Tedman. He warned that the situation could worsen when first years are admitted into the school.
Yesterday, for instance, we had the National Mathematics Day in our assembly hall. Unfortunately, only 1/3 of the students were able to be accommodated by the assembly hall. An assembly hall that was meant for just about 200 students. Today, as we speak, we are over 1,000, still waiting for first years to come.
To add salt to injury, the school is without street light and making it partially dark in the night. Authorities are forced to fix at some strategic locations room bulbs to serve as street lights. However, all will be a thing of the past as all students of the school donated 30 LED bulbs valued at 10,200 Ghana cedis to the school. Dr. Solomon Dansier is the Upper West chairman of the Wa Senior High School Old Students Association.
We know the dormitories are spread out. This is also the warm season. And the experts will tell you that this is the season that scorpions and snakes come out of their hideouts and can easily sting and bite. Now, the request of the headmaster was that the old students should assist in providing street lamps to light up the streets of Great Wasek. Lighting is one important factor in ensuring conduciveness of the academic environment. Without light, we cannot study well. Without light, we cannot even see our way to our dormitories. And we can think of all the dangers that go with this.
Idrisi Tedman thanked them for the gesture, calling on the government and other benevolent organizations to come to their aid.
Please, let's do our best. Our former director is here. They were the pioneers, 1970 group. Oh, you are saying she is here. Yeah, you get it. The Honorable Speaker of Parliament was a mate here, and I know if they put efforts together, we will get this multi-purpose assembly hall we are talking of.
Rafiq Salam's report from Wa
Now let's talk about this, a call that not so many would be able to answer, with more than a decade of training required and very strict vows, including an oath to be celibate for life. Yes, it's not a child's play to be a Catholic priest, yet it's a vocation that many actually take pride in. In the following report, my colleague Justice Beidou tells the story of a newly ordained priest and his hopes of keeping his vows.
Happy moment for a mother and her son. It's a day before Father Stephen Daniels holds his first Mass at the St. John the Evangelist Parish, the Catholic church that he was born into. He's a freshly minted Catholic priest. Town folk who saw him grow up and those who know his family have poured onto the streets in celebration.
Many people, they are now shouting and they are thanking God for me because nobody thought that I can be a priest today. I can also see myself as a Catholic priest, the first ever priest also in my family.
The morning after, a Sunday, the church is packed to full capacity. Being a priest in the Catholic Church comes with very strict requirements. First, it takes more than 10 years for one to go through training.
Not everyone has this opportunity. Not every family gets this honor. I am overjoyed. God has given us a gift. I am lost for words. Because of this honor he has done, I will continue to serve him till the day I go to rest with my Maker.
They take and live by 3 vows: an oath of poverty, an oath of obedience, and an oath of celibacy, which requires that you are not supposed to have sex with any woman, and of course, not bear children.
To be a chaste and a human way is not easy. You have to forgo a particular person that you have in life and embrace everybody as a family. Because when you go into the marriage life, you are going to embrace a particular family, then you raise up your kids when God bless you with kids. Now, when we deny ourselves, or when we vow for the vow of chastity, or when we become priests without marrying, it means we want to forgo a particular family and embrace a whole family in a chastity way.
The Catholic Church revolves heavily around its priests. Several key parts of its service, like communion, cannot happen without a priest in the church.
I gave birth to 6 boys and 3 girls. There are people who do not have children at home. So if God has given me 6 and he in his own wisdom wants only one to come do his work, to carry the cross, who am I to stop him? Because my son will not give birth? No.
Not many people are able to live by these requirements, and so many fall off. And for those who stay true to the end of their training, like Father Daniels, it's a big accomplishment. It's uncertain how long the church would hold on to these very, very strict standards for its priests. But for those who choose the vocation as a way of life, like Father Daniels, it's a choice worth making.
and he says he will spend each day in the rest of his life keeping to his calling with joy. Justice Beidu, Joy News, Abua, in the Western region.
That's all for our package here in terms of the polls. Obviously, we'll return tomorrow, same time. Don't forget that this is the JoyNews channel.